Mr.
Bond.
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 Bond. James Bond.
Hello. Why does that beginning never get old, Chris? It's just...
I know, it's great, isn't it? It just makes me smile every time I see it.
Fills me with joy completely.
Yeah, it does.
Welcome back to another Ultimate Bondcast. We are here for one of our next movie reviews, and hopefully you've been following the last three because we are up to number 4, Thunderball. Chris, how excited are you for this, mate?
I'm really excited. It's a good movie. You know, it's something that I'm looking forward to talking about. To be honest, I'm sweating my Thunderballs off right now because it's 26 degrees here, and I'm in a tiny little incubation chamber. So
I'm actually in a very big room with a fan one side and an open door the other side, so it's like flowing through.
Yeah,
at the moment.
And I can only apologise to the listeners if I sound like I'm in some sort of air tunnel. But
just be glad we're not in. Just be glad we're not on Smell-O-Vision. That's what I can say from there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Before we do jump into the movie review, Chris, we have got an absolute little tiny bit of Bond news. So, would you like me to give you? It's only one article, but would you like to know what has been happening in the world of 007?
No, thanks.
No, okay, we'll move on in that
Post
case.
credits, do the credits. Please tell me.
So, aside from the wonderful release of 007 First Light, which we know is an origin story, the story that is out now.
Go and check out our video as well.
It is, and we'll put it in the description, shall we, as well? So I think that might be a good way.
It's too complicated for me, but
if you have not seen it, go back because 007 First Light looks absolutely phenomenal. But the good news is, what else is on the horizon is, so that was an origin story, Chris, yeah? Now, there is a new book coming out by an author called Simon Ward, and it's called James Bond and the Secret Agent Academy.
Oof. That sounds exciting. That sounds prequely as well.
No, it's the opposite. This is
what
Bond
do we know? What do we know about this?
This is his own secret agent academy where he trains up the rookies from being a veteran and all that. It's actually a new concept. I don't think I've even considered that sort of thing before.
Okay. It's like Bond, but like the last season of Scrubs, where they just turned it into a university.
Well, the tagline says, the Secret Agent Academy will decide if they have what it takes to join the ranks of the Double O's. Together with Bond, can they defeat a deadly foe lurking in the shadows? So that could be... I'm
down.
I mean, down or not, it's coming. It's out.
Is it out already, or is it something we're waiting for?
By the looks of it, out. So that could be quite...
Okay, well, I'm going to have to check it out.
Quite cool for us there. But, mate, that is it. That is our Bond news because we've absolutely rinsed the news very recently, haven't we? To be honest with you.
We have. Can I ask a question before we get into the main event, the entree?
You may.
Talk to me about this background. It looks like the kind of wallpaper, not wallpaper, like wrapping paper I'd used to wrap a birthday present in. I don't hate it. It's great.
Should we mix it up? I mean, should we go there? Ooh. Or should we go here?
I mean, I like them all. That feels very 60s.
It does. I mean, maybe that's quite appropriate to our era right now. So we'll stick to the moving part circle, shall we, Chris?
But no, I like the other one also. I think you did a great job with the background.
Oh yeah, I claim to not making that background anyway. I've procreated something off StreamYard, but thank you very much.
I don't want to know any of the procreating you're doing off anything, man.
But onwards to Thunderball, which can I just say in one word? Joy. Absolute joy.
Well, I mean, tell me more. What are your initial thoughts about Thunderball?
So, just for you guys to sort of be aware of it. So, both me and Chris watched this movie last night to completely refresh our memories. Because if I'm fair in saying this, it's a bit of a black sheep Bond film. People don't immediately think of Thunderball, and it's probably one of the ones I've seen it a million times, but definitely one of the least times out of the collection.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I totally agree.
It seems to be. Oh, sorry. One of our commenters, Ian's just put a background with Blofeld stroking his cat. Okay.
That's way too complicated.
We'll give that a try, Ian. But maybe on the next stream, that's an idea for it.
Can I also say as well, what a great last name.
Yeah. Oh my God. Maybe it's actually him. Maybe he's Blofeld, Chris.
Maybe we've got our eye on you, Ian.
But yeah, Thunderball. So 1965, number 4, definitely a black sheep of the movie. But my needed. Let's do our usual review, Chris. First of all, so let's go to Connery first. Give me your thoughts on Connery in Thunderball, in a nutshell.
I think Connery looks like he's sort of fully settled into the role in this. I feel like he's having a bit of fun, and I love that there's more jokiness to Connery's performance in this film, or at least there's more quips for Connery to sink his teeth into. I don't think there's a lot of character building in this film, and I think we can get into this, but I feel like this is the first Bond movie that is just that cookie cutter, a completely isolated movie that we see, 10, 15 of in the Bond franchise. And it's one of those,
formula.
It's got a beginning, middle, and an end, and it hits all of the tropes and does all the things. But yeah, I loved Connery. I feel like you really can tell that he's gone from real hair to a hairpiece in this film. I feel like for some reason, from I don't know if he had one in Goldfinger, actually. He might have had one in Goldfinger, but in this film and every subsequent movie, it's just like his head goes flat. Like they forgot how to create volume in hairpieces in the 60s. But yeah, I love it.
So Sean Connery's barber's like hanging his head in shame right now, mate.
I shouldn't. I mean, I'm going bald as well. It comes to us all. But and I wish I was Sean Connery as well, going bald. But I do feel like it's noticeable in this movie, and we don't need to dwell on it.
And to answer Ian's question, we watch Ultra HD Blu-ray discs. So it made 1965 feel like 1985 with its brush up. And it's sort of nice graphic effect to it, really, from there. But Connery, for me in this, Chris, he was, like you said, I don't believe there's a lot of character building, and I don't think it's necessary to have that in this movie. But when you compare him to, Dr. No, to From Russia with Love, to Goldfinger, this is by far the most confident in the role he is. And that makes sense with it being the 4th film for him. But what you also notice is that he delivers the lines, like the one-liners, like there was like, I think he got the point, and all that sort of stuff.
She's just
so, yeah. Can I put my friend down? She's just dead. And I thought, I watched it with my wife. She's never seen Thunderball. She was laughing her head off as he said that. And I thought, you've got so much to come.
Yeah.
But one thing that strikes me about Thunderball, Chris, immediately, compared to particularly Goldfinger in the last one, how gadget laden that film was from the beginning. And it's not a criticism; it's a brilliant thing. But it was absolutely rammed with gadgets.
Yes, it was. And I think in general, Thunderball is easily, for me, the most modern of Connery's Bond movies. This has kind of got like one of those timeless plots where any you could plant this in any decade, I feel like, and this plot in particular would work.
And how terrifying
some of the
is
others
it?
Maybe wouldn't. Hey,
how terrifying is it based on potential real world events?
Well, I mean, maybe, yeah, but like you could easily see I mean, I know that we're talking about like bits of it, but like you could easily see an organization stealing nuclear warheads and holding people to ransom for those. It's a classic sort of plot line that you've seen in films for decades. And it just has that, it really has a bombastic, high budget feel that the other Bond movies don't. And we obviously know that it has 7 times the budget of Dr. No. This had a $7 million budget, and it shows on the screen. It feels more expensive. There are more explosions. It feels like a tighter, more high budget piece. Like it just feels more well put together.
Yeah, is it fair to say? I feel like I agree with that completely. By the way, I feel like this was the first action film of Bond, if that makes sense, because we've had the thrillers, haven't we? We've had Doctor No and From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger, as we said, formulated the formula of Bond of what would be more and more replicated as the series go on. But Thunderball did feel like the first blockbuster that wasn't about necessarily spying. It was about shooting, diving, driving, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was.
And it did create something. I mean, let's go through the gadgets from scratch, because at the beginning. So, for example, what have we got? The first one, we've got the jetpack, haven't we?
It's classic, isn't it?
Now,
it really is
amazed to realise that was actually a real jetpack and not some CGI.
Yeah, it was really flown.
Did you know that guy who flew it refused to fly without the helmet? So it wasn't the Connery trait. He was actually, I mean, I don't know what a helmet would have done for him, if I'm being honest. But,
well, I don't know.
Maybe not fly the jetpack if you're worried about it, and you know.
But yeah, no, I thought I thought that was a great scene. It's so unnecessary. Like, we just happen to have a jetpack lying here. You know, we managed to make sure that we knew Bond would come out this way and put this huge, cumbersome jetpack here for him to put on.
Ironic plot armor there, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it was. It was.
And the killing, the man dressed as the widow and gets killed in the fireplace. Jack Deshawn, or whatever his name was. It was just it's still laughable, but good.
But that was probably I love that fight scene though. It might be like one of my favorite scenes in the movie. The fight scene between him and the guy sort of dressed in drag. It was brilliant.
And I'm wondering, so when he jetpacks down, then we see the DB5 return from Goldfinger. With the water cannon. So is it a case of Q's run out of smoke now and now he's using water? Possibly?
I think it must be. I think in the next film it's soil that comes out. I think it's just going through the elements. I think that'll be it.
It does make me laugh though how that water cannon seems to knock everybody off their feet, but the reality was you could just walk towards it like a water gun, couldn't you? Really?
Oh yeah, you really could. But that was it. When it was like one of those things where, like, when it was shot from the angle of looking away from the car, it looked really impactful. But then when you looked at it like actually coming out of the car, it was just kind of like
bit tragic.
Two tragic streams of water. There was like coming out of like a watering can or something.
Yeah, I mean that's the great thing though. But you take that. We've always said this: Bond films are totally time capsules of the era they're captured in, and the effects and things that come with it. But those things you don't laugh at because you go, "It is terrible." You laugh at it because you go, "Oh, I love this." It's so. I don't know. I want to stop using the word nostalgic, but that's exactly what it is, isn't it?
And you know? I just want to point to like a comment that Ian's just made about how did we like the new Ultra HD version. I mean, I was blown away by it, really. I think the way that they've upscaled it just looks so crisp. And I know that you've said before about how a 60s movie looks like an 80s movie when you're watching it in Ultra HD. Like that's how you know what the difference feels. It's great.
I think you can add a 20-year gap onto a movie of its age when you see it in Ultra HD. So, Ian, if you want to get it under 10%, we'll get you on Etsy. We'll try and get some more DVDs accredited to you, and you can put yourself as a commission model. How about that?
I love it. But yeah, I mean, I've only ever seen it on DVD before, so I totally skipped Blu-ray and got this Ultra HD collection purely to rewatch these movies, and it's made such a difference.
Yeah. I mean, so when we refer back to the gadgets from this point on. So we've got DB5 onwards, and I think it just flies off that point because we've got things like the little pill that he eats that's the tracker. Geiger counters, underwater cameras. It doesn't stop. And that diving pack he wears at the very end. I think it's an overkill, but actually it felt like because all the Marines were jumping in the water and they were having the underwater fight with all the Spectre guys, but it was like Bond flies in, he's got his on, here's the leader, here's the commander, you know.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't really count as a gadget, but like how iconic is that red scuba suit as well? Oh
yeah, and I think it's the fact that awesome. The fact that the Marines were wearing the exact same thing, like colour-wise, but he's obviously just had his bottom half cut off the suit, shall we say?
Yeah.
It helps distinguish it differently. But I think that the way it had like a harpoon built into the back of it, it had the jet to push him forward. I misunderstood one part. I thought that actually had a detonator inside of it, but I realised it was a separate bomb that he drops down and blows those guys up with it.
Yeah.
So maybe Q was a little bit overkill with the size of that oxygen tank.
Maybe, but Q's just looking out for him. I mean, I love that rebreather, and the idea of the story of that rebreather being so convincing that the US military got in touch over the patents for it because they thought that it was
real.
They couldn't crack it, and they thought that some movie production had cracked it, which is hilarious in and of itself.
The fact that you get 4 minutes of air from essentially 2 centimeters of a tank.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen, even if you're not a scientist. I think you can put 2 and 2 together.
I still think it's cool. I love that rebreather. I love that he puts it in almost like a cigar case, isn't it?
And very appropriate for Bond because he's smoking like a chimney in this film. To be honest with you,
he is, isn't it? No, I don't know. I don't think he smokes at all in this film.
Maybe
I think this might be one of the only films he doesn't smoke.
This is a rare Connery moment, Chris.
It is. I don't think he smokes a single cigarette in this movie.
Maybe I've missed it. Yeah, I was actually, for a minute, I was considering when he goes into the casino where he's after Domino and Largo.
Yeah.
And all that. I thought there might have been a smoke there, but I think you're right. Maybe there wasn't.
Maybe I missed it.
You might be right there, mate. But how much does he fill out that black tuxedo? Because we're back to the black tuxedo this film, aren't we now?
Yeah, we are. It's a classic. It's a classic look. I love Connery in any tuxedo, and we were so spoiled in the last movie with the white tuxedo. So I loved seeing him in the black.
Honestly, though, I think we're almost going a little bit homosexual here when we talk about his dress style. But my God, he does wear a white tuxedo to the absolute best, doesn't he?
He does. He feels like he needs to, doesn't he? Love it.
We've done Connery, we've done gadgets. We will revert back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But let's go on to Largo because a bit of a different, I suppose we could say, different villain to the previous three we've had, played by the absolutely wonderful Adolphe Kelly or Seeley. So talk me through Largo, Chris, from your perspective.
So I think Largo is one of those great mustache twirling villains, and I think he's probably a little bit underrated because I don't really think of Largo when I think of Bond villains, but he is totally enjoyable in this movie. And another villain that is unfortunately dubbed for inexplicable reasons, but I really enjoyed Largo. I really enjoyed his interplay with Bond, and just in general, it was the world building of Spectre in this movie. They really labor on every time he twirls that octopus ring, and I loved the first 15 minutes after the post credits where we get to see number one, the mysterious man hidden behind the glass, and he's stroking his white cat, and then we've got all of the men sitting around, the men and the women sitting around number two onwards, and that they get murdered for letting number one down. And it was just that tiny little scene created an entire world of Spectre in your mind. And this film really fleshes out Spectre more than any other.
I think their hatred of Bond is pretty big at this point, considering we've had them. He's killed Dr. No, obviously, a few movies back. The revenge attempt against him in From Russia with Love totally failed. He's killed several more operatives of Spectre.
He has.
Killed all the people in them boats and all that. And I think it's ironic that they kept him, away from Spectre in Goldfinger. There was no connection. But it's good to see them resurface because it is a bit like, they weren't just a one-trick pony or a two-trick pony. They will return to scare our villain once more and try and attack the world in probably the scariest format possible, nuclear warfare. That's it's a pretty graphic situation, and
you can really feel the undercurrent of the Cold War, can't you, in the background of this movie?
Oh, yeah. It reeks of that sort of Russian mistrust because you feel like Spectre's trying to destabilize global politics within it by just making people scared. And that's a really powerful tool, because as it points out in their name, their initials are Spectre. It's extortion at the very end.
It is. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah,
it's something that with Spectre, that with them keep sort of being a reoccurring theme, it really gives you an idea that in some ways Bond's a little bit out of his depth, because it is one man against what is an absolute mammoth, army. And that's a really, really, like you said, because Largo's sort of a typical villain, like an eye patch, and he's a bit handy as well, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, no, he absolutely is. He's got many strings to his bow.
Doesn't need henchmen. I don't think I could. He hasn't really got a memorable henchman.
No, he hasn't. No, you don't need one with him, because he's so active himself. You wouldn't see Goldfinger having a fist fight with Bond, other than a little scrap on the the plane at the end. But you don't think he's a physical match for Bond.
No, Bond's owning him, but with Largo, you sense not so much.
20 years ago, he could have been the same man. He's got that presence about him, that physicality.
I think that's the interesting thing, though, isn't it? Because Spectre doesn't necessarily need henchmen, because it's absolutely filled to the rim with assassins and soldiers and all that sort of stuff. And that's what we'll experience later on more and more as we go into You Only Live Twice and On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and all that gets explored a lot deeper. But what we need to bear in mind is Largo might be the villain, but as you've pointed out, he's number 2. Number 1 is the head, so therefore he's actually the henchman, I suppose you could say.
Who could number 1 be? I can't. Will we find out in the next movie?
Is it Ian?
Is it Ian?
Is it Ian?
Ian Fleming. Do you know that's the other thing about this movie, though? This is the last film, really, that Ian Fleming had a direct impact on, because he wrote the original script for Thunderball, which I know went through a lot of iterations. But this was kind of the last that really had fingerprints of Ian Fleming on it before he passed.
Do you know what was also quite historic about this film, I noticed? It's only for a brief minute. So, the bit where we point out, he's like, oh, my friend's just dead, I'm going to put her down, that sort of thing. Previous to that, this is one of the few films where Bond actually takes a bullet.
Ah, okay.
He gets it in the bottom of his leg, if I remember rightly, in the carnival, because he's being chased, isn't he? So
I couldn't tell if he got shot or if he was just a crap runner. Yeah, it just
no. He was actually bleeding, wasn't he? He was actually bleeding on the float
I only watched
he
it
gets
yesterday.
onto and all that. It's been a long hot day, isn't it, Chris?
It has been a long hot day. Yeah, I'm turning into a beetroot right now, mate. I'm so red. I really shouldn't have chosen a red background.
You're about to blend in a minute, mate.
I know.
But I mean, one thing we can take from this is the fact that, like you said, there is nothing unformulatic about Thunderball. No, the fact that you have everything. Formulaic. It's all. I mean, one thing that's very interesting was that scene just we had on the screen there with the DB5. We had the technically it was a henchman, but it's a henchwoman. We had Fiona, which was played by Luciana Paluzzi, the redhead, and she was a Spectre assassin in a way. But what was quite scary was, so during that scene where there was I think it was Count Lippy that was chasing Bond in view of killing him, but because Lippy had failed, he was ordered to be killed by Largo, and she goes after Count Lippy in the car. Now, Bob Simmons, who we all know is a very famous stuntman in the world of 007, especially in the Connery era, he was actually the gentleman driving the black car, and he nearly got hit by the explosion as he dived out. Wow. So we nearly didn't get another Bob Simmons moment in the Connery era. But there's a lot of bloopers in Thunderball, maybe because they tried so hard to up the action.
And you do get a little bit. If I'm thinking about it, and I want to pick holes in the movie, they do throw a lot at the screen, don't they? It's almost
yeah.
like everything in the kitchen sink in this movie. You know, there's like doppelgangers, and there's nuclear bombs, and there's sharks, in pools, and there's just so much in this film that it's like they had tons of ideas and they just wanted to squeeze them all in.
Ian's just corrected. He is correct. Yeah, there
you go.
The bullet nicked the leg, and he's absolutely correct. So, Ian, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you, son, all the way. But the thing we all take from this, though, you are right. The antes are up. They are going to a lot of locations, a lot of it underwater, which comes with its own production challenges, of course.
Maybe too much underwater. What do you think?
Yeah,
so much of this movie is underwater. And it's silent and slow, and
I feel like the middle section was good. Where he's investigating the Disco Volante, and then they drop the grenades in the water, stuff like that. Yeah, that was quite good. But I wonder if they could have done something different for the end.
I think so too. Yeah, a little bit too much underwater.
Maybe there was just not enough budget to fly 50 blokes playing Marines to somewhere else in the world, and they thought, we're here, we're just going to use the water.
I get that. I totally get that. And they clearly got an aesthetic with this movie where there are a lot of underwater sequences, and it's set up so beautifully by the song at the beginning in probably one of the most beautiful. Is it Maurice Binder that?
Yes, and I agree. Even by today's standards,
probably one of the best that we've ever seen. The
beautiful title sequence,
all underwater. I think it's awesome.
Now that seems to be the title sequence. I noticed that a lot of consequential spoof movies have tried to mimic.
Yes,
things like Austin Powers and Spy Hard and stuff like that have always drawn attention to the Thunderball title sequence. Maybe that's my opinion, but it seems to allude to that more or less. It was also revisited in at the end of No Time to Die in their title sequence and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
it was, but I think by its production value, it didn't look like it was made in the 60s, and God knows how it would have been perceived in the 60s.
And a great song too. Thunderball's an underrated Bond theme tune. The notes Tom Jones hits at the end is unreal.
Like the movie, it's not the song you think of, but you don't go, it was bad. But we also didn't know, Chris, I don't know if you're aware, it nearly didn't make the cut.
Yeah, wasn't it Dionne Warwick that did it, that sang, was it Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or something? Or Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
It was. That was nearly the song for Thunderball, which, to be fair, I listened to it. It's a fantastic theme. It would make a Bond theme for any movie you could think of. But Thunderball, I mean, come on, you can't turn down the Welshman, the absolute sex bomb of Tom Jones, can you?
Exactly.
There's a lot of homosexual references in this movie, review, isn't there, today?
There is from you, mate. Are we going to talk about Bond girls as well? Let's
go straight more hetero, shall we? From there. Girls, so Bond girls. Okay, so it's what's really weird is Domino is clearly the Bond girl of this movie, but she doesn't come into it till rather late. You notice?
Yeah, she doesn't. She's halfway through the movie, Domino, and she's really there as a plot device, isn't she? She links, what's his name, the pilot, her brother, to Largo, doesn't she? Really?
Absolutely. And what's also we know from one of your previous statements in another podcast, Chris, it's not her voice either. She's dubbed again, and for
same
the
woman,
life of
Sylvia, something.
What was it? Her name has escaped me. What was it called?
Sylvia. It's on the tip of all of their tongues.
It is. Oh God, it's dropped away from me now. But I mean, the reality was
Ian's gonna have to help us out.
In the earliest films, this lady voiced a lot of people, and Domino's no exception. However, when it comes to her acting, like Goldfinger, very, very convincing. Without really looking for it, you're not going to see it.
No, you're not. No. I wouldn't have known had I not, been told. It just feels like a natural performance. Same with the villain as well. I think without knowing that Largo was dubbed, it's not obvious.
It's not obvious. And Largo is until you've mentioned in this particular podcast is a total surprise to me. I didn't think that was a dub voice in any way, mate. Really,
it's another one where if you listen to his original voice, you're like, why'd you dub him? He sounds great.
It's weird because prior to that, you do have two like supporting Bond girls, not the main ones, because we mentioned Fiona, the redhead assassin, who is in it for about 45 minutes at the beginning, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But we've also got the nurse, Molly, played by Molly Peters, got down here, who was playing the character of Patricia. Yeah, I actually thought she was quite good. And as I was watching it with my wife, she goes, God, she's really pretty. And I went, well, most of the 60s ones were phenomenal.
Yeah,
you know, and all that. They were absolutely gorgeous.
I did find, like, I don't normally watch the movies and think, oh, that's an uncomfortable scene. I know it's a product of their time, but
I know what you're going to say.
His flirtation with Patricia, that forced kiss, and then he's kind of like, I won't tell the boss if you fuck me. That was a little uncomfortable.
It was.
It was a little more than I liked.
Was it a little bit worse than the jump on top of Pussy Galore in the barn? Or...
I think so, but I mean, you know, look, I'm not gonna labor on it because we all know that it was a different time and what have you. That was it just felt a little bit more like, oof. That's
attitudes were a little bit crude, shall we say? And hate to say it, but it was. Chris, sorry, thank you, Ian, and Nikki Vandersill.
Thank you. Cheers,
there
Ian.
There we go. We appreciate that. You should be on the show with us, Ian. You know more than we do at times.
Instead of me. I didn't even know you got shot.
But no, when it comes to, let's go to the Pride Bond girl, to Domino, which was Claudine Auger. Now, I actually think she played a very, very good version of the role because she displayed a lot of vulnerability. She was clearly kept against her will with her. I don't know. Was he technically her family? I can't remember Largo if he's actually a family or not, or
no,
he was just a guardian.
She was his mistress. She said that she loved him once, or they were having a conversation at the beginning, but they pass off that she's his niece in public. But
and there's also a bit of a crude moment where she was tied up in the boat at the end. He was threatening to sort of use heat and ice, and I thought, okay, I'm not really liking that. You know,
she knew what Largo was all about because she was feeding Largo information every time that she spoke to Bond for at least the first 3 or 4 times that they had contact. You know, she was quite happy to sort of rat on Bond a little bit.
I think that's, like you said, you don't get on a boat with like 20 bodyguards and like an escape pod below and machine guns everywhere and go, he's a normal bloke, isn't he? He's all right.
Yeah, this guy's made his money being an estate agent or something.
Oh, well, do you know what? Maybe that's how he gets so many sales. Just forces people at gunpoint and then tortures them with ice and heat, Chris. Maybe. I don't know. But it was a bit of a, I think, tough watch because of the way that attitudes are very different and respectful to women nowadays.
I mean, I'm not saying that. Like, I mean, Ian's also saying they need to return to the 60s. No political correctness. I mean, I'm not saying that you know, these movies shouldn't be shown or anything like that. I'm just saying that one particular scene was just a little bit, was just more than I'm used to. You know, like it felt a little bit uncomfortable. But like, I completely agree. I'd love to see it go back to the 60s. I personally think that's exactly what they should do, is set it back in the 60s again. And then maybe every Bond moves forward one decade.
I absolutely hope that's the way they're going to go, and I would probably be willing to put some money on it. That's the route it will go. Maybe
start with Smersh again as well. Maybe, you know, like the books before Spectre turns up, make it Smersh, make it really like Cold War heavy because Smersh was Russian. You know,
do they go further to the 50s? Maybe just pre-Connery. Maybe that would be a good way of doing it. You know,
maybe.
And sort of not origin it, but just show Bond a little bit younger, but not a rookie.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
and all that really. So that could be an interesting take on it from there. So we've done Bond girls. You've
done Bond girls. You've done Bond girls.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Let me talk about the Bond girls.
Go for it, mate.
Fiona Volpe, for me, hands down the best Bond girl in this movie. I think she was. I like Domino. I think Fiona had a lot more going for her. I thought she was a far more interesting character. stunning woman as well. Luciana
Charismatic.
Paluzzi. She was written as an Irish character, apparently, from what I read, and they changed it because she was cast, so they changed her into like an Italian character.
Multi-layered character, though, weren't she?
Yeah, I thought so. Love that our first real bad guy Bond girl. You know, I know we had Pussy Galore, who was sort of a bad girl turned good,
Yeah,
but this was somebody that
level.
he couldn't turn. You know, this was somebody that was evil and would stay evil, but was also like felt like a bit of an equal to Bond. You know, they played off each other really well.
She even said it, didn't she? Oh, you thought I'd just fall into your arms and all that sort of
you
stuff.
turn me to the side of the good or whatever, and it's just not. I loved it. I thought she was great, and I love Domino as well. You know, I do. I gravitated more to the scenes with him and Fiona than I did with him and Domino.
And I think her death was quite clever because it wasn't over the top, like, oh, drop her in the pool of sharks or something.
No.
It was quite literally Bond using his will. He's like, oh, I quite enjoy my dancing. And he's jotted it wrong. All the gunmen are sort of surrounding.
He sees the gun come out. And
they end up shooting their boss by accident. And then they all just like, shit, go.
The look on their faces.
What's the bet that those henchmen or those gunmen were no longer part of Spectre by the end of that movie?
I mean, if they'd have gone to see number one, I'm pretty sure they'd have been electrocuted anyway. Definitely.
It was the guy in the chair, wasn't it? I think, like you said, it was number
5 or something. I don't know. Mambo number 5 got it, didn't he?
Yeah, old Lou Bega. But no, number 5 or 6.
What a deep cut. Well done.
Number 5 and number 6. One of them was on the thief, on the embezzlement, wasn't they? And then the other one got electrocuted. But I love how the guy that was like, to the penny, number 1. It's been counted fine. And his other mate's sitting there going, you haven't suspected me. He's fucked.
I only realised because it's been so long since I've seen it. One of the Spectre guys was the butler out of The Shining. Because I was watching it. I don't know if you like The Shining or not, the original, but like I was watching it and I was like, I recognise him. That looks like the butler from The Shining, and it is. It's bizarre. He's like, I'm scrolling down on IMDb now. On this, he was like, you know, number 5 or number 7 or something. But yeah, he was one of the main characters in The Shining.
Oh my god!
There you go.
Now, one thing that was also quite apparent to this one. So we talked about the underwater sequences, Chris. There's a lot of it, obviously, but in particular, there was quite a lot of potential shark misses nearly in this film.
Yeah, there was
quite a few, and the most prominent one was Connery had to have a screen put up when he was locked in the pool with the big metal grid above them. And to rightly so, why would you not? You know, it's the tunnel, because it's when the door opens and the shark comes in the pool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And all that.
There's no screen in front of him at that point, though, is there? Like,
no.
Apparently, the screen was only 3 feet high, and they could just swim over it. It's like, do you not realize how water works?
No wonder he got paid 7 times the salary. I mean,
I was looking today at little clips, and I saw I think it was like 1995. They did a retrospective on Thunderball, and Sean Connery was talking about it. He said something like, I don't know who did it, but you know, it didn't happen again.
Hand slap to the face to that man. I do feel like, though, because if you notice as well, so when he goes through the tunnel and goes out to the other pool that's now open, do you see the shark that nearly got his foot as he got out?
Yes, yeah. Oh no, apparently that was dead.
No,
you know that line when he came out. So apparently the shark that misses him when he gets out, only because I watched this same documentary. Was a dead shark pulled on a piece of string.
Oh, was it?
Only the one right at the end. I think all the others were live, but
you wouldn't think that, would you? Looking at it, it's very. I suppose they want to create some climax to that moment. You go, oh shit! Oh, he barely made it out. You know, exactly. But they had to stay. They had to stage it, of course, from there. One of the other mistakes I found out. This is on the extended interviews. So we know at the end where the Disco Volante has its little escape pod and flies off into the water. They leave the shell, don't they, where they've got the machine guns on it and all that sort of stuff. Now, did you know they had no idea how powerful the explosives were that they put on the boat to blow it up?
Really?
They had no idea. They played it by ear, and they were absolutely breathtaking when the boat actually went in the air. They just wanted it to go, but it went like that. And I think It's a nice touch that they don't, pay any like special homage to it. They just go, wow, okay, we overcooked that a little bit.
That's great. I love that.
Was there any surprises to you with Thunderball, Chris? Because, like I said, it's a bit of a rare one we go to. But what was your sort of most pleasant surprise?
I think I
overall?
enjoyed it more. Just in general, I think I enjoyed it more than I expected to. And in a way, I'm kind of hoping that I feel that way about every Bond movie that I watch. That's can only be a good thing. But yeah, I think I enjoyed it more than I expected. It's a longer movie. It's 2 hours 10 minutes. I think I'd kind of forgotten like how interesting that the section is where he's on Largo's Island, because I think from memory that bit kind of dragged, but maybe it was just the underwater bits that dragged for me. And actually his interactions with Largo, I was fully in. I was committed when I was watching those.
It was like the match is meat, isn't it? Largo was in every way onto Bond, and Bond really didn't make a lot of apparent, but I'm not here to investigate you. It was quite obvious, and I think that was quite a nice relationship to see, that there was actually a rival. Like with Goldfinger, for example, he felt like a general villain, but this guy was as clued up as Bond,
Completely agree. Yeah, I agree. And just a random bit of trivia that I remembered seeing while watching the movie. I was doing a bit of scrolling, and did you notice that the woman who played Paula, the Bond, the kind of Bond girl, the Bond acquaintance that's with
the
him,
assistant, wasn't she?
Yeah. Did you know that? Did you notice that she was in another Bond movie as well?
Oh, what previously?
She was one of the 2 gypsies that fight each other in Russia with Love.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now
as a different character, but
that makes complete sense, because we've always said, particularly with the 60s, they had a really, really habit of recycling characters or actresses, actors, and so on. And I can completely see it now. You've brought it up. But because it was a few years apart and whatever, you don't really go back to Harkon because it wasn't really a known character. But I completely agree with that one. But I think what we can do from Thunderball, though, at the bottom line of it, Chris, is that the biggest surprise to me was how much of a ride I had watching it. It didn't have any slow pacing. I think everything was wonderful. I loved the beginning, how Bond wasn't necessarily on a mission. He was just in his own downtime and happened to stumble across the plot, starting from his own instinct. And then it develops into a mission when the bombs are stolen and all that sort of stuff. That was a really nice niche. And maybe that was a bit of character building in some ways. It shows Bond not being a 00 for a short period, and just being himself, what he gets up to. That was good. But I think, like I said, the overall movie moved at pace because it was over 2 hours. It didn't feel like that at all.
No, it didn't. It didn't. I think that's what I mean. It was shocking when I saw that it was 2 hours 10 minutes, because it didn't feel like it was. And I get the feeling that we're closing in on wrapping up here. But before we do, I'd love to just touch briefly on how cool it was to see every 00 agent in the room at the same time at the beginning. How cool is that, just to see them all in those big chairs, and Bond turning up late.
So it's probably one of the only, I think, out of 3 or 4 occasions where there's another 00 on screen at times.
Definitely the only time where every 00's been in the room at the same time.
Exactly.
Right?
The fact that all 9 of them, all 1 to 9, were on in that room, and I totally agree. It was epic. It was beyond epic, and I was pointing out to the wife. I went, "Look, they're all there. They're all there. Every single one."
There. You can't see him, but I bet that's Trevelyan sitting in the 006 seat next to him.
And
I love things like that. Would that be pre or post Trevelyan? Who
I
think
knows? We can assume they're always the same 00s unless they get killed. Yeah. Except what was his name in The Man with the Golden Gun, who was killed?
Trevelyan was killed as well. Trevelyan was killed at the beginning of GoldenEye, wasn't he? So he wasn't a 00 until.
Yeah, maybe.
You see, he wouldn't have been a 00 after the beginning of GoldenEye, would he? Because he was
the thing.
thought to be dead. Sorry, it doesn't really matter. But like, I just love thinking. I wonder, which iteration of those 00s are we seeing behind those seats?
I wonder which one eventually would play the clown in Octopussy that gets killed. But
yeah, exactly. And did you know? I think one of them was a woman as well. Was it number 3? Was a woman?
I think you're right. I think you're right. Actually, you can say that. You don't immediately think of it, but I think that's, especially with 1965, that's pretty forward thinking.
It is, but then you also think, like, in real life, there were a lot of female spies in the 40s and to the 60s because they would use sex to get information, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, that being said, I heard in the news this week. Absolutely. I heard the news this week, actually. MI6 has actually appointed a female chief for the first time this week. So, in real life, that is not fictional, of course, which is amazing.
I hope she was handed the keys by, like,
Ralph Fiennes.
No, what was this? I can't even think of her name. My mind's gone blank.
Judi
Dench, thank you. Yeah. And she's like, "You're welcome."
That would be phenomenal. But do we dare to go in with a rating, Chris, on our out of 10 rating?
We've done it on the others, so I think it's only fair.
Where would you go with that, mate? So
okay.
10 being top, 1 being low. What are you going to go with?
The way that I've marked these other Bond movies is I'm marking them as Bond movies, and I can't have every one be a 10 out of 10 because then there's no gradient between them.
There's no risk. Yeah.
No, exactly. And there's going to be some Bond films that fall lower. I think this is a solid Bond movie, and I would put it above Dr. No. So I know this doesn't sound amazingly high, but it was a good film. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
That's solid. Yeah, that's solid. I believe I'm going to go with a little bit more consequence on Thunderball. Because like you said, we can't just go with 9s and 10s because we'd go forever, wouldn't we, really, in some of them. However, I'm going to give it a nice 6.5. I'm going to go just a little bit below you because although I can't really pick out a major flaw with it, just the fact that it's not the aforementioned Bond movie you go straight to tells me that it's not perfect.
No, definitely not. But I enjoyed it more than I thought. And what I will say as well is, we were talking about this before we came on air. I think what we're going to try and do is get some sort of graphic together so that when we mark our Bond movies, we can see the rankings from previous films as well, because I think that'd be interesting and might stop us from like putting something higher than we think it should be. So next time we'll try and get our marks for the last Bond movies.
It was. And do you know what else? Do you know what else of a graphic we need to make, Chris, as well, soon enough?
What's that?
We need to do a graphic for our next poll because it's on the horizon.
Tell me, what's the next poll?
So for those of you who have joined in with our last poll, go back and check it out. We did our countdown of the best 007 actors in our ranking. We incorporated my view, Chris's view that way, and the public view, just to see how opinions differ greatly.
There you go.
Thank you. That way. Don't do that to me, Chris. That's scary, mate. It's scary. I'm feeling dizzy, feeling a little bit of motion sickness there. But no, we're going to go and we're going to focus on the best Bond cars. Now, the reality is there's so many Bond cars out there. There is a lot of them out there, whether you consider gadget-laden vehicles to just casual vehicles. So we can't do every single one because we'd frankly have to rate 100 vehicles. So we've been quite select, haven't we, Chris, on this front? And what we want to do is this poll will go up straight after the stream today. Vote. It'll be on Facebook and it'll go across a lot of 007 platforms on Facebook. So vote, because in July, your vote will count towards the poll that we unveil, and we will compare it to mine and Chris's view.
And the winner gets the car, right? Is that right? Is that how this works?
That's the one. Yeah, you will get a toy car.
We're awarding an Aston Martin to the winner.
You will get a toy car that you have built with your mind.
It's legally binding.
And that's where it will stay, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
But just to fill you in on where we're at with those Bond cars and the ones that we've chosen, we're going to stick to the cars that are involved in actual car chases with gadgets.
How many are we giving them a choice of?
We're going to stick to the 5. We're going to keep it easy on a 5. And
so you're only giving 5 choices.
But what we are taking out is the DB5 because that's going to win, isn't it? Let's be honest. The DB5 would win for a lot of people. This
is controversial.
It is. Would you like to have a look at the contenders, though, Chris?
Definitely. Absolutely.
Here we go. This is what we're looking at. We've got the Lotus Esprit from The Spy Who Loved Me. We've got the Aston Martin V8 Vantage from The Living Daylights. Beautiful. The Vanquish from Die Another Day.
I feel like you should be doing the, like the bullseye. That's how it feels. Like you were telling me what the prizes are.
Well, the DB10 was beautiful. And then finally, the BMW 750 IL, which you could win in your mind if you vote. But no, that's what we're going to choose. And you know what? We might chuck a couple of extra ones in there. And the off chance.
I think maybe we give a few more choices, but we'll definitely only rank the top 5. But it might be nice to give some other options. But we'll see.
But all that being said, go to the Facebook page, join the poll. It'll be running to the end of the month, and then we'll unveil the results on our next podcast. Chris, is there anything that you would like to plug before we're gone, mate?
Please just hit the subscribe button. It's incredibly helpful to us, and we're really touched by all the people that have subscribed so far. So thank you for that. Thank you, Ian, for all of the live comments in the chat. It's been great. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at Geek Figure Fan on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you, Mike.
Wow. And I've got a feeling that there might be some more work for that turntable that you've got, Chris. Is that right? More figures on its way? More fun
mate, yes, come. Absolutely. If any people are interested in action figures, I've got some doozies coming.
Is there a sneaky hint? Do we get the subject of what's to come?
Well, I haven't yet reviewed the new Maximum Series Spider-Man, the Marvel Legends figure, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. And I have a NECA Predator figure to get into as well.
Oh, mate, that's amazing. And yeah, I'd just like to also pretty much echo Chris's first comment there about, just hit subscribe. Takes 2 minutes, means the absolute world to us. And you can join our community and join in with all the Bond news, all the updates, and all the podcasts, because we just love spending time with you guys, making the show being what it is. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very, very much. Apart from that, Chris, I think it's only one more thing left to say. And I think we should tell these guys what they've been watching, which is the Bondcast.
The ultimate Bondcast.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.